Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to our last community webinar for 2023. This is the fourth one of 4 webinars where Peter discussed topics related to relationships. For those of you that have missed the other 3, I'm quickly going to repeat when they were presented. The first one was on the 29th of March, and it was about the love relationship. The second one was on the 31st of May. Friendship relationship, and then we had one on the 30th of August that was about a business relationship. So if you have missed those webinars and after today's one you say I need to listen to those as well, you're welcome to find the recordings. You can go to www.shadowmatch.com and click on the events 2023 tab, and you will find on those dates 29 March, 31 May and 30 August, you will find in a dark green color the YouTube links to those webinars. If you forget all of this, you will also find these recordings on our YouTube channel. So today's webinar is about the security relationship. Promises to be very insightful, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. My name is Lizette de Villiers. I will be the host today, and I'm shortly going to hand to Peter de Villiers, the author and functional developer of Shadowmatch, and currently still head of research and development at Shadowmatch. So I think that's the important announcements. The last thing is just administrative. Please note that your microphone is currently in the forced mute setting. That is just so that we allow the presenter to present uninterrupted. Towards the end of the webinar, we will then thank Peter, and I will then stop the recording and enable the setting for you to unmute your microphone, and you will then be welcome to ask questions. So I think that's all from my side. Please enjoy, and thank you, Peter, very much. We're looking forward to the content of today's webinar.
Thank you, Lizette, and welcome everybody. Number 4 of 4 in the relationship series of webinars, as Lizette has explained to everybody. What we will do today is to have a look at the security relationship, and I will share my screen so that we are all on the same page. I will also refer you to some reading if you haven't read it already. So let's have a look at where we are and how we get a security relationship is a troubled relationship, but we'll get into the detail very, very soon. If you have a look at the previous ones, this is the framework that I have created to help understand the basics of our relationships. Now, in the book Shadowmatch Success for All, that is obviously available for free on the website shadowmatch.com under resources, page 40 to 50. Is a quite a detailed discussion of this model, but we work with 4 relationship frames. Now, keep in mind that I will use two words. The one is relationship frames. The other one is relationship types. We'll get to that one in a second. We are basically in 4 relationship frames. In other words, the broad relationships of our lives. The first one is a love relationship. It's about caring and sharing. It's a social relationship. It's an intuitive relationship. And at the bottom, you will see it's a single direction relationship. So if I say that I love my child, it's not dependent on the returning love from the child to me. It's a one direction relationship that I have with my child, or then also possibly maybe with somebody else. Friendship, we have friendship relationships. It's also a social and an intuitive sharing and caring relationship, but this is bi-directional. In other words, it's about the 2 parties in the relationship. We have common interest. In other words, we have a common interest in something, a hobby, or we play tennis or music or whatever it might be. We do things together, and the things we do together are mostly related to our common interest. And we have physical distance. We are within 20 minutes of traveling from one another, 30 minutes max. Some friendships do survive distances more than 30 minutes traveling time, but they are quite scarce and rare. Business relationship is bi-directional. In other words, two parties must be in the relationship. Well, it's dependent on both parties, equally dependent. It's an exchange of value. I have a car, you have money. I want to sell the car and I want your money. You want to get rid of the money, sometimes not, but you want my car. So we exchange the value of the car for the value of the money. Or I have talents and time and skills and I sell it to my employer and I get value in return in the form of monetary compensation for what I give to the employer as a value proposition. I must feel that I win. It's not necessarily a logic thing. I must get the feeling that I'm in this business relationship because I am winning, and it might be awkward. And there must be agreement between the two parties. We must agree on the price and the content. So these three we have discussed in the webinars that Lizette just listed. Number 4 on the list is the frame of a security relationship. This is a rational and functional as business. It's exchange and winning, but it's a one-direction relationship. So I am in this relationship because I have to be in it. So just hold for a second. We'll get back to the detail in a minute. Now we talk about relationship types. So now we overlay the relationship types on the relationship frames. This is on the book, page 41 to 51, Shadowmatch Success for All. Now we can cluster all our relationship in 8 relationship types. Let's start at the bottom. A love relationship, parent-child falls into this quadrant. Family shares these 2 quadrants of friendship and love. Friendship is just a friendship relationship. It falls in this quadrant. Work is a business relationship. I give you my time, energy, and knowledge. And in return, you provide me with money in the form of a salary or whatever it might be. Cohabitation. This is when 2 students, for instance, have to share the same apartment or the same dwelling when they are at college, or even in other situations, you might even have different scenarios of people that they stay together, but not out of choice. It's just a matter of life works out in that way that they now stay together. And then a teacher-learner is also a business relationship. This sounds a bit strange, that the teacher-learner's business, but it's solid. It's pure, common, brutal business. The teacher provides the knowledge, and the parents pay for the knowledge either via the tax system or if it's a private college or whatever it might be, the teacher gets compensated for the energy and the time that they provide in return for the money they get. Marriage sits there. Marriage is a combination of friendship and love. There's a little bit of security, but a little small portion of security that we take care of one another, and we look after each other in terms of our security and the security of our financials and physical security, emotional. We protect each other. So there's a little bit of security in this. And then there's a bit of business. So we do things. I am married to Lizette. Lizette will look after some parts of our household, and I will look after other parts of the household. I will do the swimming pool. Lizette will do the dishes. So there's a bit of, sometimes we don't say it, but that's how it works. There's a little bit of a business content, but these 2 relationships never play a dominant role. Marriage is dominant on this side. Now let's have a look at what can happen with these relationship types. Friendship, work, stay together, teacher, learner, marriage, family, parent, child, love. They can all become troubled. What happens then is they move to here. Any one of them can move to there. I can be in a career with working for a big financial institution, and at a point I get a big salary, but I hate my work, and I don't like my boss, and I don't want to be with my colleagues. Things just don't work. But I can't get out. I can't get out. Why? Because I'm on maybe a seniority level, or I'm in a position where if I get out, I might not find another job with the same benefits and financial benefits as the one that I have. I'm stuck. I drag my feet to work on a Monday morning and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I hate everything at work, but I can't get out. And sometimes I'm in a work where I've worked myself into a position without being well qualified, and now I know that if I leave, I can't go anywhere else. And this can happen with people staying together. I've signed a contract that I will stay in this place for a year, and now in month 2 I discover that this is not going to work. I don't want to be here, but I can't get out because everything will fall apart if I just move out. This can happen obviously with a teacher learner. I don't have to explain that. It can happen with friendships, with family. It happens with family very easy. It can happen with marriage. Marriage tends to have a specific pattern. It starts here. It starts in a perceived love relationship or a real love relationship. Then obviously it stays there. But then if this doesn't work, if it doesn't work in the love relationship quadrant, that moves there, and they sort of, without saying it, they say, let's just be friends and try to build our relationship on a friendship. And then eventually it starts moving here, and they say, but you know what, this is business. There are responsibilities. You must take responsibility for this and this. And it becomes an exchange of value and a business proposition of being together for financial benefits. Then if that happens, it ends here. But all of them, if they go wrong, if things go wrong, all these relationship types tend to move to this area. And then what we have is we are in a completely different relationship frame. Here, things in this relationship, the relationship is not in place because I want to be in the relationship. The relationship is in place because I can't get out of it. This is important. There's a level of exchange and winning that makes it impossible for me to get out. I'll give you some examples. I'll give you some practical examples as much as I can. It's one direction. I stay in the relationship because of the benefits I get. I don't care what the other party gets. I couldn't care what the other party gets out of it. I will just please the other party. Let's say it's a work relationship. I'll just do my job to get my salary. That's it. There's nothing in it. I work mechanically, and my employer gets the benefit of the work that I do, but I hate every moment of this. I don't want to be in this relationship. With marriage, this can easily happen. Let me give you an example. A couple got married, and they are married for 7 years, and they have 3 children. And then the mother looks after the children for the next 8, 10, 12, 15 years, or 18 years, or 20 years. And during that time, she wasn't in the official employment environment. She looked after the children, and she raised the children. Then when the children leaves, she finds it very difficult to return to employment because of her absence for whatever time it might be. Now, the relationship with her husband becomes troubled. She can't get out. And the reason for that is financially, she just can't get out. It's just not going to work. So now the relationship becomes seriously troubled, but the one party can't get out of it. There's not a chance. that the one that is dependent on the other can force a divorce or whatever it might be, and it becomes a long legal battle and a very troubled situation. But it can happen with family. I can give you examples of horrible family relationships where the parents moved in with the children because of the parents. They ran into troubles with their financials. They moved in with the children, and now they are financially dependent on the children. The children don't want them there, and they want them out, and the parents don't want to be there. It becomes a horrible situation, but the parents can't get out. And for the children, it becomes such a burden that if they have to force the parents out of their house, they've got to provide them with alternative housing that'll cost them 10 times more. So now it becomes a very, very, very complicated relationship. And it can happen to all the relationships. All of them can become troubled, and then they become trapped in this security part of things. So let me summarize. What are the basic frames of this security relationship? One party in the relationship needs the other in order to be secure. With secure, we can refer to anything. It could be financially secure. It could be medically secure. In other words, I need somebody to take care of me. My health is in such a state that I need somebody to take care of me. And my children are the only ones that I have, or my parents are the only people that I have that could take care of me. But I must stay in the relationship for my own medical and my health security. It could be a financial issue, but it could also be an emotional one. We must be very aware of the fact that in some cases, people are not emotionally strong enough to cut, quit, and move. Let's take a work relationship as an example. Let's say I've been a teacher or a lecturer at university, and I hate this. But I am not strong enough to quit and move out and find something else and do something else. So I become emotionally dependent on the relationship. I might be very, very competent, very well qualified, very intelligent, highly skilled, but I don't have the guts to call it and to say, I'm out. I'm going to find something else. And this happens in marriage, it happens in family, it happens with parent-child relationships. All of them can become trapped in this area of a security relationship where we are now strangled in a situation that is very difficult to deal with. When this relationship frame dominates, the relationship is in trouble. That's it. There's no other way to say it. If the relationship, whatever the type is, if it's here in this security quadrant, the relationship is in trouble. It's not a positive scenario anymore. Now, this is what happens if we get trapped in a security relationship. What people say is the energy in the relationship becomes confrontational in its nature. So there's always an sort of an underlying confrontation between the parties. They are always on the wrong side of each other, sometimes in a very, very subtle way. Sometimes it's just a little bit of something that they say here and there, but there's a subtle confrontation underlying or that saturates the vibe of the relationship. So the energy becomes opposing. It's They stand against each other more than together. Time together is tense. They experience the time that they spend together as stressed. There's an atmosphere. Things are not what it should be. There's tension between them. They are sort of irritated with one another. And then sometimes they don't say it, but they can both feel there's a bit of a tense situation and an atmosphere between them, a sort of an underlying hostility. And sometimes it's not even a hostility, it's just a vibe of, I'm just fed up with you. I just don't have the energy for you now. I'm just a bit fed up. And sometimes it becomes very explicit, obviously. Then topics to discuss are less. They can drive from here to Bloemfontein or to wherever and say something like, can we stop for coffee at the next Total or Shell or gas station or petrol station, whatever we call it. And that's the discussion for the 4 hours. So they start to avoid each other, and the topics that they can discuss in a spontaneous way, in a friendly, sort of an open way, without watching their words, become less, and it's more stressful. They start to avoid each other. They live their lives around each other, and they try to not get contact with one another unnecessarily. So it's a bit of an awkward one. They play around this absence of making themselves absent for the other one. Then window dressing starts to takes over. Window dressing is a horrible thing. It's friendly and collaborative in front of friends, clients, children, parents, colleagues, etc. Hostile, cold, and aloof when alone. So what the two parties in the relationship do is they window dress when they are with others. Let's say we are colleagues, we run a business together, or we own a business together, and we are in a seriously confrontational situation, and there's stress between us, and we are hostile towards each other, and now we have to discuss the next contract with a client. Then we window dress that moment with a client, and we act as if we have a very good, solid, long-standing and loyal relationship as business partners. But when the meeting with a customer is gone, then the hostility and the cold and aloofness of the relationship starts to take over again. This can happen with parents and children. When the children have friends at their parents' house, everybody behaves very civil. They are very friendly and very well together and organized, and they have a window dressing. But when the friends of the children leave, then the hostility between the parents and the child and the children starts to dominate the atmosphere and the relationship again. Then, obviously, you can now think about other examples. I don't want to labor the point of examples, but think about other examples that you might be aware of. Parties function better away from each other than together. This is the opposite of a good relationship. A good relationship brings out the best in us. So if I am with somebody and there's a good relationship between us, it makes me more. It makes me, it creates positive energy in me for anything that we might do. Let's say we play golf, and I go play golf with a very good friend, and we have a very long-standing good friendship. It makes me play better. But if I have to play golf with somebody that he or she doesn't want to be with me, we were friends long ago, but we are not friends anymore, but we can't get out, and it's a complicated, then it makes me play bad. And this happens with all relationships, and you can see it especially where you have a teacher and a learner. When the relationship between the teacher and the learner is not optimal, and the learner must produce some of the results in the presence of the teacher, the capability of the learner is compromised because of the teacher that is there, and it's a relationship issue. We see it with music students, for instance. They've got a very strict music teacher. They hate the music teacher. And now the learner has to play violin or guitar or whatever it is. And the teacher stands by to check if the music is correct against the music sheet. And now the learner just can't play. And that's a relationship issue. It's a stress issue as a result of a stressful relationship. So one must be very aware of that. These are the broad symptoms of a stressful relationship in this. Well, all the security relationships are stressful. Now, this heading, dear delegates and participants, is very important. What holds the relationship together? The fact that the fear to leave is more than the pain to stay. This is why people stay in this relationship. The fear that they have of leaving the relationship is so much or so strong, such an intense experience for them, that they would rather live in the pain of the relationship than face the fear and the demons and the troubles of leaving the relationship. So the first point that I would like to make is for coaches, for instance, and for everybody else that might be a bystander or a spectator or might be aware of a painful security relationship in somebody else's lives, is that we must be very soft and very kind to the individual, because they live in the stress between the fear of leaving and the pain of staying, which is obviously extremely uncomfortable. What they say, if you have an open discussion with them and they trust you, is they will say things like, I can't leave. The financial implications are just not viable. I can't do it. If I drop this business and I have to leave my shares behind, I'm financially ruined. I can't get out. I've got to make it. I've got to live through this. And we can extend the examples into all the other relationship types. I have invested so much in this business, I can't leave. What about the children? This is what we hear people, what I have heard people say probably 200 times in my life, if not more. I want out, but what about the children? I can't do it to my children. My children are just so important to me that I cannot just cut this relationship and go my own way. It's unfair towards the children. I understand that. I fully understand it. But what I must do is I must try to understand the pain of the individual who is trapped in this security relationship, trapped between the fear of what leaving will do to the children and the pain to stay. So I stay because of. Then I will not survive financially if I leave, resign, quit. It's the same as that one. And then I have a fear of what the other party, might do to me if I leave. This is a big, big problem, where a relationship has become so destructive that they can't stay, but they can't leave, because they are in one of the parties they fear what the other one might do to them. And we see this in all kinds of relationships. When it becomes a toxic security relationship, one of the individuals in the relationship might become so aggressive and so hostile that that there's a threat to the life of the other party, that they might kill them. Or they might do them serious harm. This is obviously a serious challenge and a serious problem. We'll get to some answers as we move on. Now, I want to give you a test. The test is very simple. Let me just go back. The test is very simple. If the answer is leave to any of these questions, the relationship is in the security frame. So let's first ask ourselves, when do I know that the relationship is in the security frame as a troubled relationship? There are 3 questions, any one of them. If there are no rules, ask yourself, ask the person, ask the individual, ask your client, or think about the person that might be in trouble and say, if there are no rules, no negative implications, everyone will support you and you don't have to explain your decision to leave to anybody. We will all support you and nothing will happen. Will you stay or will you leave? That's the question. If the person says, I will leave, the relationship is in trouble, it's in a security frame, we can talk about the detail, but it's not necessary. The question to this answer says, I want out. In fact, if there were no rules, no negative implications, everybody will support me and I don't have to explain to everybody, I will get out. That relationship is in trouble. Second test question. If you can leave the relationship and stay friends in a positive way, but with somewhat of a distance, will you stay or leave? Let me rephrase the question. If you can get out of this relationship, but stay friends with the person at a distance, without any negative baggage going forward, will you stay in this relationship or will you quit? If they say, I will leave, the relationship is in trouble, then it sits in the security frame and it's in trouble. Number 3, if leaving will have 0 effect on you or your financials, will you stay or leave? This is one of the questions that, especially where there are financials involved, if leaving this relationship will have 0 effect on your financials, will you stay or leave? If the person says, I will leave, then the relationship is in trouble, it's in the security frame, and we must then be very kind and soft and understanding of the stress that this individual experienced because of living between fear and pain. So now the question that everybody will ask and say, but Peter, this is good and I understand it and I've seen it and I have seen it in people's lives. The question is, what is the solution? How do we address this? Now, dear everybody, there are always 3 answers to a question. The one is the soft answer that is sugar-coated, not really a reflection of the truth. That's the one answer. The other one is a careful answer that is soft. There's a little bit of truth in it, but it's more soft than true. It's sort of a balance point between, I don't want to sound harsh, but I think maybe you should think about considering this. And then to any question, there is the tough and the factual answer. This is the correct way. So let's look at answers in the 3rd category. In other words, let's look at the hard factual answers. What is the solution? There are 3. The first one is the mature, correct, and ethically best advice. The one that I will give you now is the best. This is the mature solution. Nobody can challenge it. Nobody with high ethical standings, nobody with religious standings, nobody with nothing, with social ethical standings, with health, psychological health positions, humanities, whatever it might be. This is the mature and ethically sound advice. What do we do? This is what we do. The relationships must move back to the correct frames. In other words, marriage must sit there. Teacher-learner must sit there. Staying together must sit as a combination between these two. Friendship relationship must function there. Work relationship must sit there. So the relationship must honestly move back to the frame where it should be, in a healthy, mature, and successful relationship context. That is what must happen. Now, unfortunately, it's not that easy. So this honest, factually correct, ethically sound piece of advice, which is obviously the best for the psychology of everybody, is not that easy, because moving them back, if we want to say, but I'm going to take whichever relationship is, and I'm going to move them back to where they should be, that exercise is not a discussion. It's not, let's go and see somebody on a Wednesday evening and talk about the stress that we experience, and then we'll work on it and we'll fix it. No. This is not always easy. The challenge is that both parties must honestly work together, and it is almost impossible without a Shadowmatch coach. The trouble here is, to do this, to take the relationship, any one of these, and move them to where they should be, move them to there, takes hard work. It happens over a period of time. It's not a decision. It's not a discussion. It takes hard work. And both parties must say, I want to do it. And if they have a Shadowmatch coach, obviously, why a Shadowmatch coach? Because Shadowmatch provides for all 8 the relationship reports, and there's a program that's specifically designed for each relationship type, which the coaches follow with their clients so that they can move through the process of building the best relationship possible. It's a process. It takes time, it's hard work, and if you have somebody that could walk this recovery process with you and the road of recovery with you as a Shadowmatch coach, it makes it much easier. It's almost impossible if the relationship has been seriously compromised to do it without a coach. The second option is for a very small percentage of people. Now, the second answer to what now? The relationship is now in trouble. It's in the security frame. I want out. I live between the fear of rejection and the fear of everything else and the pain of staying. There's a second answer. The first one is put the relationship where they should be. The second one is force fix the relationship. Now, this is not easy. Now, dear everybody, if you want to, after the session, there will be time for questions. Say to me, Peter, but this force fix is not possible. I have examples. I have case studies. I can reference. I can give you referenced examples where it was done. This is how it works. It works from the one side only. So force fix the relationship. One of the parties live above the issues in the relationship. One of the parties decide, I will fix the relationship. This relationship is dead. It's in big trouble. I'll fix it. If the other party doesn't, it says, it's fine. I'll fix it. I'll fix it from my side. So what you then do, what that individual then does is they live above the issues in the relationship. They just lift their behavior and their language and the way in which they conduct themselves to be above the challenges of the relationship. They don't ever talk about the challenges and the history of whatever went wrong. They do not go back into the baggage and to the dark rooms and the history of troubles in the relationship. They shut the door and they say, I don't talk about this. What they do is they live above the history of the relationship and they don't talk about it. So it's gone. They decide, that person decides what defines the perfect relationship and they live accordingly. So what do? I decide, what do I do if I was the perfect husband in a perfect marriage to the perfect wife? And I do that. That's it. I do it. Finish. Not, but what happened 3 years ago or what happened 6 months ago? Nothing. I ask the question, how do I behave, talk, conduct myself if I want to be the perfect husband in a perfect marriage relationship to my perfect wife? End of story. And I do it. And I keep on doing it. And I just show this resilience of, that's what I do. I don't talk about the negative things, and I don't say, but you know, do you remember what happened 3 years ago? No. Then be friendly, positive, do what needs to be done to define the relationship as a good, strong, and successful one. And stay away from the issues, tension, and baggage from the relationship history. Whatever happened, don't even mention it. Stay away from the issues. Live above it. Be friendly, positive, do what needs to be done, and define the relationship as a good, strong, and successful one, and just bulldoze yourself over everything. Just live above it as the strongest party in the relationship, and just live the perfect relationship towards that individual. Create positive, joyful, and fulfilling relationship moments, and don't dig up history. Don't dig up dead things that you can't change. Horrible, negative history from the relationship past, and just don't do it. So leave the dead cows. Just don't dig them up. Create positive, joyful, and fulfilling relationship moments. But keep in mind, it's a gamble. Might not work, but it might. It might. I have examples. I can give you examples where this actually happened. So this is the second answer to the question, what now? The third one, this is the best advice. The previous ones were not that good. They were good, ethically good. They were very good. They were excellent. This is the best one. If the relationship is dead, and on the 3 questions that we had 10 minutes ago, if there were no rules and nobody would ask you questions and there were no financial implications and nobody will be hurt in the process, there will be no blood and tears, you can just clean walk out and be free without any implications. Will you stay or will you leave? Those 3 questions. If those 3 questions bring us to the I will leave, the relationship is dead, then the advice is quit. That's it. Quit. Get out. A relationship can destroy your life. It's not a matter of it can destroy your day or your happiness. It can destroy your life. It can cause death. It destroys your health. It destroys your psychology. It destroys other relationships. It destroys your personal psychology. It can drag you into all kinds of anxieties and depression and whatever you can think of. It's not worth it. If the relationship is dead, quit. Get out. Then go to a Shadowmatch coach and start with fulfillment coaching and move on with your life. This is the best advice. If the relationship is dead, quit. And I have very good reasons for that, which I would not share with you at this point, because I would like to stop on a very positive note. The positive side of this everything is that relationships, we must prevent and do everything we can to not allow a relationship to end in this portion of this frame of security. I must stay because I can't get out. So we must prevent that. If it has ended up there, there are some points of advice. One, move it back to where it should be. Both parties must be willing to work together. Get a coach to support you in the process, to support the relationship in the process. Two, bulldoze, force fix the relationship. One party can do it. It's possible. It's a risk. It might not work. It could boomerang, but then at least it boomeranged on you whilst you are the strongest one in the event. Three, if you are convinced the relationship is dead, quit. That's it. With that, I'll stop sharing. It's the end of everything. Back to you, Lizette, and thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Peter, for another insightful presentation. Please remember that we have recorded, so this recording will be available on our YouTube channel, and also available, the link will be available on the calendar tomorrow. So at this point, I'm going to stop the recording, and then I will enable the setting for you to unmute your microphone, and then we can handle some questions.